Hi, welcome back, and this is part 2 of my single and swinging bedtime story. If you're enjoying these videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps get my crazy adventures out to more people. So in part 1, I explained how I got to the swinger club the first time and my experience there. I found myself with an opportunity to go back a few months later when I was invited on a date up in Fort Lauderdale. I was asked to meet at the Ritz-Carlton on A1A. I love that area, so I was excited to go. But when I got there, my date texts me that he wants to bring a buddy along on the date. And I'm like, no. I was like, absolutely not. That was not something I had anticipated, and that was something he could have told me before I took the trek up there. So I said, I am not going to meet with you. So I walked over to Trulux. Trulux in Miami is very wooded, has like dark wood decor. It's like a classic piano bar type steakhouse. The one in Trulux is oceanfront. It's glass, it's modern, it's gorgeous. So I walked over, I went to the bar, I met the bartender, Michael, and I told him that I was there alone because a date had gone poorly. And he was very kind. And I ordered a Pinot Grigio. It was an excellent Pinot Grigio. So I just started to vibe there. A couple of gentlemen approached me, and I actually met this group of Iranians. I overheard them speaking in Farsi, so I invited them to come sit next to me, and we hung out together for a little bit. So I was able to kill some time, and I was feeling good, and I wanted to go to Elbow Room. That's a very famous bar in Fort Lauderdale. It's a historic bar. So I walked over there to catch the vibe. It was a good vibe. It wasn't quite what I was looking for. It wasn't quite my scene. I was wearing this outfit, I was ready for a date, and Elbow Room is more casual. I'd love to go back in a more casual outfit. Around this time, it was about 10ish. So I went on my phone and I GPSed how long it would take me to get to Trapeze. It was about 30 minutes. So I figured I'd get there around 10:30, 10:45, and it would be just the right time to go to the party. So I headed over. When I got there, the valet line was super long. It took me like 15 minutes to finally get to the front of the line. So I was like, okay, cool. It's busy tonight. It's going to be good. When I got inside, I paid, and I got inside, and the crowd was not the crowd that it was the last time I went. So in part 1, I described the crowd as about 50% white folks. This time it was 100% Hispanic. So I was excited. I was excited. I was very excited. And so I said to myself, the last time I went, I was very quickly approached when I stood by myself near the play area. So I said, I'm going to try that again, and I'm sure I'll meet somebody. So I went and stood by the play area, and I was like this at Trulux, but then I went like a little bit like this at Trapeze, and I was very quickly approached. So I was approached by this guy. I don't remember his name. He asked me if I was there alone. I said yes. He asked me if I wanted a drink. I said no. So I don't offer drinks. I don't accept drinks from strangers. That's just my thing. So he continued to chit chat, and he asked me what I did for a living. And I said, I'm not working currently, but when I was married, I assisted my ex-husband with his businesses. And he says something like, oh, you're the type of woman who's useful in a marriage. And I couldn't tell if he was trying to compliment me or offend me. I felt like he was trying to compliment me, but on behalf of women worldwide, I felt offended. And I'm just kind of like, oh God. So I look, he was standing to my right, and then he asked me, do you know anybody here? And I'm looking at him, and out of the corner of my eye, who do I see approaching us but the girl from last time? And I said to him, no, I don't know anybody, but I met her the last time I was here. And he goes, oh yeah, she's a social butterfly. Everybody knows her. So they knew each other. And when she approached, she gave him like a hello kiss on the cheek. So they knew each other. And she introduced herself to me. I recognized her right away. I don't know if she recognized me or not, but I knew who she was. And then she asked him, "Is this your date?" And he goes, "Yeah, she's my date." I look right at the girl. I'm like, "I am not his date. I am not his date." I said to her, "I am your date. I am your date tonight. I am not his date." So they kind of looked at each other like, but I kept repeating. I'm like, "I want to hang out with you tonight." I said to her, I'm like, "I want to hang out with you tonight." And I tried to spot her boyfriend over through the crowd, but it was getting really busy. So I couldn't see him. So she was like, "Okay, you want to hang out with me tonight?" I said, "Yeah." So we said goodbye to that guy and we walked over to the closest bar. She said she had her bottle there. She offered me a drink. I said no. So I said, I'm like, "Thank you." I said, "I'm so glad I saw you. Thanks for coming over to rescue me." And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Him and 3 other guys are who we call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse." They come in on every new girl that they see. And I thought that was really funny. I'm like, okay, she has some wit. There's a group here. There's a group of people that know each other here. So my brain is like checking off all these boxes, right? So we take a lap, like the sunken dance floor is in the middle, and then the buffet and a few bars wrap around the dance floor, and we did a little lap, and then finally we got to her table where her man was. She introduced me to him, and we said hello to each other, and I finally got to take a good look at him, and he's like one of the best looking men I've ever met in my life. Like, he's the type of guy where people see his mugshot on social media, the girlies will be like, "I can fix him." We'll get to whether or not he can be fixed in a moment. So everything went well. The vibe was smooth, and we were chit-chatting, the 3 of us together, and everything was going really well. And he was like complimenting me, and he said, like, "Do you want to?" I told them, I'm like, "I'm here to play. I'm here to have fun." So I remember a couple of like other couples coming up to say hi to us. They were really good looking too, especially the women. They were like very good looking. But I was just kind of like, one at a time. One couple at a time. So one thing led to another, and he asked, "Do you want to go to the play area?" And I said, "Yes, that's what I was there for." So I went to the locker area, disrobed, grabbed a towel, and met them over in the play area. There's a bar, and then there are these private rooms behind the bar, and they immediately asked for a private room. They knew who to ask, who had a key, and went and got the person to open the door right away. I think the person gave them the key actually, and they opened the door themselves. So we went in the private room, and one thing led to another, and we had a threesome. The experience was amazing. I had a great time. I'm not going to share the details here. I'll share the details on other platforms that allow me to share those details without repercussion. But it was great. I had a really great time, and I remember looking up at them and giggling, and I broke out in giggles, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, it was just a really smart decision to come here. So that was great. Now I want to get into them as a couple. So he left the room twice, once to refresh his drink and once to use the bathroom. And when we were alone, she would start talking, and she talked a lot, and she talked about their relationship. Okay, so they had been together for 13 years. They met at the gym. She's older than him. She has grown kids, is divorced, and they met. He was unmarried and single, no kids when they met. They'd been together 13 years, and they had been coming to the club for 5 years. They'd been coming to the club for 5 years. He had a 7-year-old son. she said when she was describing their relationship, and then she said he has a son. He met a girl on South Beach and she got pregnant, and he said he wanted a child. So, and then I realized who I was talking to. I was talking to the urban myth of girlfriends. This is the girl who stood by her man when he got another woman pregnant. And I even brought it up. I was like, oh, so you guys were together before, during, and after the pregnancy? And she said, yeah. She was like, it was super awkward when the woman would come around on holidays or birthday parties and she would be pregnant. So clearly, like, having another woman involved in their relationship, like having a third party involved in their relationship, was not unusual. Like, I remember when Princess Diana gave her interview regarding Camilla, she was like, their relationship was a bit crowded. That was just how he wanted things done. That was just how he was going to live his life. And if she was going to be able to remain in his life, she had to go by those rules. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge anybody. I wasn't there to judge him, her, or the situation. I was there to have sex, have a good time, and leave. And that's what I did. But it was still interesting because I'm interested in relationship dynamics. I know what ethical non-monogamy is. I know what polyamory is. I know that at this point in my life right now, a relationship is not for me. I express that explicitly to people when I meet them. I'm not interested in a relationship, and I'm not going to remain monogamous at any duration of however long you and I are seeing each other. So I'm very clear about that. Now, I don't know how their relationship, if you can call it that, that's another thing. Like, based on how he was talking to me and interacting with me, I could tell he was very into me. And I could tell by the way he spoke to her that while she calls it a relationship and she calls him her boyfriend or her partner, he sees her primarily as his roommate. Like that's all I can surmise. Again, I'm not there to judge. That's what I saw, and that's what I heard, and that's what I intuitively felt. So it was, I felt very comfortable with them. I enjoyed being with them. I would see them again, but there's definitely a little bit of awkwardness there. Because it doesn't seem like they're quite on the same page. Whereas most couples that I meet are very much on the same page. They are committed to each other. They're just looking to spice things up a little bit. And then I'm called a unicorn in the lifestyle lingo, where I come in, have fun, and leave. That's all I want. But when he and I had some one-on-one time, and during that one-on-one time, he invited me to a private party. So they host parties at their house, which is normal in the lifestyle. Like, you might meet people online, or you might meet people at the club, but then you might really vibe with somebody, or you might really want to see someone again, and that's when you're like, oh, okay, I'm having a private party, I really want you to come. While the idea of a private party and meeting other couples like them, like hopefully in the same league as far as like attractiveness is concerned, definitely excites me. A swinger party in Miami is definitely, I don't think it's too far of a stretch for me to assume that there will be drugs there. And I'm not into drugs. I know I'm in the minority where I say that sex and drugs shouldn't mix. But I just can't imagine that there wouldn't be drugs there. So I declined the invitation. And he seemed a little flustered by that. But he was very attentive to me. He said, like, what do you like to do? What are you into? What do you want to do? He asked me a lot of questions. Where are you from? And all this stuff. And then I spoke to them. I told them about my Iranian background. And then she was like, but you kind of look Iranian. He's like, no, she doesn't. I'm like, no, I don't. And then they asked me about religion. And he goes, no, she's not religious. And it was fun. It was fun. I had fun. So when we were done, people wanted the room. So we left the room when we were done. She went to the bar. I went to the other side of the play area to observe other couples. And then he followed me and he asked me, what are you doing now? And I said, I just want to observe some other couples. He's like, okay, well, when you're done, I'm over by the bar. Come talk to me. I was like, okay. I observed some other couples. I wanted to see if I saw anything like new or particularly kinky. I did see that interracial couple that had the chain. They were doing like slave play or race play or whatever that is. But I didn't see anything unusual or different that time. So around 2:00, I said, I think now's a good time to leave. So I went to the locker room. I put on my clothes. I think I stopped by the buffet to grab a dinner roll and a piece of cheese for the ride home. And I left. And I didn't look for him, and I didn't look for her, and I didn't say goodbye. And my thought was, they're stuck with each other, not me. So on the one hand, I had a great time with them physically, but on the other, her talking and his ambivalence towards her made it a little awkward for me. Would I go back? Absolutely. Would I hook up with them again? Yeah. Would I prefer to meet some other couples? Yes. My priority is my self-love, my pleasure, and my play. So I had an amazing time. Like I said, I can share specifics on a different platform. There was 3 of us. It's just too specific. But it was good. It was good. It was a lot of fun. So part 3, I'm going to talk about what I believe are the best practices for a single woman to go and enjoy herself at an establishment like that. I would encourage it at the establishment I went to specifically because I've worked in hospitality for 20 years. I know how it operates, and I observed the staff, and they were 100% professional, 100% focused, and I saw people like greeting them, hugging them, like, hey, how are you? How have you been? People that seemed like regulars were really warm with the staff, and the staff was really warm with them. That's a good sign. That's a really good sign. It means that there's longstanding customers who have relationships with longstanding staff, people that have worked there for a long time, and it creates the foundation for other people, newbies, to come in and be comfortable. It's a professional, that place, Trapeze of Fort Lauderdale, is professionally run. I can't speak to any other place because I've never been. But I'll share some of what I think are best practices in part 3. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm a 43-year-old single woman. If anybody has anything good, bad, ugly to say it. I know who I am. I'm here for fun. I'm here for pleasure. I'm here for play. And that's it. That's my life.